All right, everyone, thank you for joining me for today's webinar, 10 Ways Your Website is Driving Customers Away. I'm really excited about this webinar this time of year. A lot of you are evaluating your budgets, looking to expand your marketing efforts, your program, and obviously thinking about a new website design. So we'll go over 10 things that you should be mindful of as you're going through that process. A little bit about me. Again, my name is Lyles Armour. I've been with Terrestrian for about 5 years now. I've been managing the design department going on 2. I'm excited for the opportunity to do this webinar with you. Obviously, we have some additional resources outside of our webinars. These are all free for you guys. Our blog, our resource guides, and free business evaluations just to kind of help you see where you are at and just get an idea of that. One of the definitive guides that we have that really relates to this webinar today is the definitive guide to a high converting website. You guys will have the ability to download this in addition to seeing the webinar recordings once the webinar concludes today. Also, again, the free business evaluation. So if you would like for us to take a peek at your website, your booking engine, or your internet marketing strategies, please visit that link. We'll be in touch with you and we'll let you know how you're doing. The worst thing that can happen is we'll give you 2 thumbs up and say continue doing the good work you're doing. Now let's jump into the webinar. Again, 10 ways your website is driving customers away. Let me just prefix that this isn't in any particular order, but we will be doing a countdown starting with number 10. You're targeting the wrong keywords. So keywords is a very big component of SEO and the SEO strategy. There's a science behind it, and there's some very important things about keywords and how they help your business. They're the foundation of your website's content. So people will do searches on Google, on Yahoo, and Bing. When they make it to your website, they're hoping that the terms that they did a search for also are going to be visible, present within your content. The keywords also help the visitors understand the purpose of the page, what it is that you have to offer, what does that page do for them, what are they going to get out of that page when they get to the end. And then also keywords ultimately help drive traffic. They help search engines understand the purpose of your page so they can rank them appropriately. Ultimately, when it comes to putting together a keyword strategy, you're going to have a mixture of a little bit of everything, and that's what the diagram to the right shows you. So you're going to see the general traffic. You're going to want to study just to see how people are getting to your website today. You're also going to want to look at the keywords that you deem are important that relate to your business, and we'll touch on the 2 different types of keywords here shortly. And then you also kind of want to take a peek at your competition. What are the people next door doing? How are they driving business? How can you benefit from what they're doing and add it to your program? And then eventually after you do that, you'll be right in the middle with a mixture of everything where you are able to identify your property and what you do great. So the 2 different types of keywords that I want to touch on here are the broad keywords. These keywords are short phrases. They may not apply to your, they may apply to your industry in your company. They may also apply to every company in your industry, or it's even possible that they'll relate to any industry altogether. So it's very broad. It's harder to really be targeted. For you guys, what we would obviously recommend, whether you're hiring an agency or doing it yourself, is really focus on those long tail keywords. These long tail keywords are going to be more specific to your company or your industry. They're usually going to be easier for you to rank for. That is going to be dependent on your area. If there's a lot of competition in your area, those specific unique terms could cost more or could be higher for you to leverage. And then also they're going to bring the most relevant qualified traffic to your website. So it's important when you guys are putting together your strategy, don't just try and drive as much traffic as you can. Make sure it's qualified traffic. Make sure the traffic that you're bringing to your website are ultimately those visitors who want to buy from you or learn more about your property as they're going through that buying cycle. And just to kind of close out here on the keywords and the differences between them, again, you have your broad keywords, which are very general to your business. There's a high search volume, which means you're going to get a whole bunch of randomness potentially with that. Then again, it's difficult to rank for because there's so much competition, because there's such broad terms, whereas the long tail terms are going to be more specific, lower search volume, which usually means little competition, and then you're able to get more qualified traffic and higher conversions from that, and ultimately rank higher as well. Number 9, your website isn't responsive or you lack a separate mobile website. Mobile has exploded and it continues to grow. It is taking over the world. You can't go anywhere without seeing someone walking or driving with their head down, and you just know they're in their mobile device. So making sure you have a website that meets the needs of those users wherever they are, however they want to access your content, is extremely important. Google, which is the leader in the industry here, they actually recommended responsive design way back in 2012. So here we are 3, 4, going on 5 years later, and we still have a large amount of people who either A, don't have a responsive website, or B, they're using a separate mobile website, which is a very, very good alternative. It's not the best, but it is something is better than nothing in that case. 54% of people say that usability in there is the main reason while they're going to switch to another device when they're booking. Ultimately, what that means is they're going to switch devices, start that buying cycle over, and they could ultimately not come back to your website. They may have remembered your brand, but didn't necessarily remember your offering. And we'll talk a little bit about how you can ensure that they do with content and pictures and things like that. But if they're on their mobile site and they're clicking around and it's not responsive, it's not mobile friendly, and then they say, you know what, I'm going to wait till I get home to get on my computer to look at this website, but they didn't remember the brand, they didn't remember which website it was, they start that process over, and ultimately you potentially lose them. And that's kind of what you see here is those people who are taking advantage of having a responsive or mobile website are part of those who are seeing that growth from 1 to 18% in online revenue just by having that component in place. So something that's extremely important for all of you guys to think about. Also, responsive websites are a win-win situation. You get to save money managing one website. So again, it's one code base, it's one website. You only have to worry about hiring one agency, one language in which that developer has to understand. So you're saving money and cost managing that one site. Obviously, you're able to increase your reach of the audience and the people you're able to engage with online, because now you have a mobile-friendly environment that allows them to navigate through your website and do what they need to do to help them understand and find the information that's going to help them purchase. And then ultimately, they're going to buy. You're going to see an increase in sales and revenue because they have something that makes it easy for them to perceive, easy for them to buy. If they can find what they like, if it looks good, if it presents well, and they're ready to buy, having a responsive website allows them to do that. As for your guests, again, they're going to have the ability to see all of the pages on your website. Mobile websites, way back when, about 3 years ago, the whole driving factor is make them very lightweight, which is still important, but also make them tailored to just the important pages that they're going to need on a mobile device. Obviously, that has changed because users are able to use those devices in a variety of ways and in a variety of locations. So the information that they want is going to be different, but they're still going to want it on those mobile devices. So now you're able to do that with a responsive website, giving them everything, all of the pages. It's going to be user-friendly, whether they're on a desktop, a tablet, or a mobile device, big or small, Android or Apple. They're going to be able to make that way through your website and ultimately purchase from you. And then obviously it's easier way for them to book. Yes, that means you do have to have a mobile-friendly booking engine as well. Those two things go hand in hand. The last thing you want to do is have a mobile-friendly website that sends them to a desktop version of the booking engine, because now they're dealing with more friction. They're having to fight and having to pinch and pull just to make it through the booking process. So don't add more friction there. Make sure your booking engine is mobile-friendly or responsive as well. Moving on to number 8, your guests are waiting for your website to load. Now I understand a lot of you might be saying, hey, this is number 1. If they're not going to wait forever to get to your website, and I do agree with you. But, and I'll show you guys in a graph, there are people who are still willing to wait. There are people who find value in what it is that you have to offer because your keywords fell in line with them perfectly. They were able and willing to wait the extra 3 or 4, whatever it is that isn't, ideal for your website to load. So once they do get there, just make sure that you have things in a place that they need to be, and we'll talk about the calls to action, the content, and things like that, because you already understand the difficulties of your performance of the website being slow. There's a handful of different reasons why the website could be slow. You could have a bad website host. So depending on the type of website you have, some hosts actually deliver that content better, quicker, faster, more reliable. You could have heavy images. You may have hired a photographer or a photographer of the past, and you actually never have those images optimized for the web. Failing in doing that actually creates those images as a heavier file size, larger in space, and ultimately takes longer for the page to download. And then obviously if you have a slideshow or a slide gallery, you're dealing with 10 plus images that you're having the server to fight over just to load for the user. So making sure you're optimizing those is great. Third-party widgets, these are your TripAdvisor reviews, your Facebook widgets. You may have a third-party company you're working with that allows you to show activities or events in the area. While those things are great, first and foremost, I would always recommend you to try and find a way to incorporate those things directly on your website so you can build the authority within your own domain rather than pulling in other people's resources. However, that is sometimes easier. It's sometimes cheaper, more cost-friendly. So go ahead and do so. Just make sure that you leverage the value of those third-party widgets if you want that to play a role in your site speed potentially not being as quick as it could be. And then also there's poor HTML, poor CSS coding. This might be something that's harder for you to identify. There are some tools out there that will let you do a check for it. Ultimately, the whole goal here is make sure you're hiring a professional, someone who knows what they're doing so they can make sure the coding is correct, that there aren't any issues. All in all, when it comes to website speed, it's extremely important. You want to try and get your website to load within 3 seconds or less, ideally less. The quicker they can navigate, the quicker that your website responds, the easier it is for them to find your information and then ultimately book with you. Number 7, your website design is outdated or has a poor layout. This is extremely important. We kind of touched on it a little bit ago with the website speed. Yes, your website might be slow, but for those people who had waited, who were willing to wait, or who thought maybe this had to do with my internet connection and I'll just deal with it, it happens on every website. Now they're on your website, but the design doesn't live up to par, or everything is cluttered and there's too much in the way and they don't know what to click on, they don't know where to go, they don't know how to contact you. Making sure you have a good design, one that is not outdated, will ensure that people are able to get what they need from you. Make sure that you have the right focus. Ultimately, the goal of your website should not be to win an award contest. That is great. I want you to have a very visually appealing, stunning website that really sells your website, but I want you to get people booking with your property more than I want them to like the look of your website, and you should want the same thing. You want to make sure that your website is built to convert people, to navigate them through the buying cycle, and to provide them with the information that they're looking for that would allow them to stay with you rather than going to other websites, going back to Google and starting over. So how does a bad website design or a bad layout happen? A variety of different ways. Technology has updated. So you had a website built 2 or 3 years ago and you kind of sat on it. It's been doing good for you. Occupancy's been great, but it doesn't necessarily meet today's technology standards. So you might have some things that are on your website like Flash that don't work on devices of today. Your iPhones, your Androids, your Googles, and your Firefoxes and whatnot. So there's always a point in time where your technology is going to be obsolete. So making sure you keep up with that is important. Your organizational goals have changed. Maybe you've made some expansions. Maybe you decided to consolidate some things or just offer things in a different way. Your website is customer facing. A lot of times it's going to be the first thing that they see when they interact with your business. So make sure that that falls in line with what you guys are doing internally and how you're trying to drive business. Also, decision maker is busy. So we've actually spoke with a gentleman 2 days ago or a couple days ago there, and he's heavily interested in purchasing a custom website. It's been a while for him. He knows that he's behind the mobile trends, and he understands that he needs to pick it up. He was very open and honest and saying, hey, I'm usually not the one behind the 8 ball, but I know I am, and I need to get focused on it, and I'm ready to move forward. At the same time in saying that, he said, hey, I know that I'm going to be busy, and I don't know when I can get started. He understood the importance of the role he played in designing and getting that layout of his new website in place. You guys know your property, your business better than anyone else. You're going to know the best way to present that so that it really sells the value. So make sure that when you're getting your website design going, you have someone who's dedicated at your property, who understands the business, who understands the concept and what the driving factors of this new website are, so they can clearly communicate that to the designer and developers as they're going through that project with you. And then ultimately, there's just too much stuff. You might have too many things going on. You guys may want to be trying to implement too many great ideas, too many strategies that you thought about throughout the year, too many things you're trying to take advantage of. It's important to know that your website is not done once you launch it. It's living, it's growing, it's breathing, it's waiting for you to refresh content, it's waiting for you to add more images or add new pages. So that is something that you will always do. So make sure that you have a goal in line of how you want to roll out your plan, how do you want your website to grow over time, what are the most important driving factors today to help you build revenue, build growth, build visibility, and then start to prioritize whatever else that comes after that. Obviously, a bad website impacts your business in a variety of ways. It can scare people away if it just doesn't look good. I will admit that I'm one of those people who, before I stop on a website, I want to make sure it looks professional. The look of the website means a lot to me from the standpoint of me building trust with that brand and ensuring that, okay, I feel comfortable seeing if they can give me what I need. You might confuse some potential buyers. Maybe the look and design isn't up to par with the area. Maybe it doesn't match what you're selling, what you're offering. Maybe your photos are a little bit outdated. Maybe it's just the keywords and the description before you click sound very elegant and very high end. Now I made it to your website and it doesn't look like you did a good job taking care of that, which can, for some people, can leave a perception that you're doing the same thing at your property. So make sure you have a good design. Obviously, ultimately, to ensure that you're doing that, we recommend you hire a professional, making sure that you have someone who's done it before, who knows the industry, who knows how to visually design and create what it is you want your website to do for you. You want to make sure that it's able to sell your business, sell your brand. Ultimately, hiring a professional ensures that you're hiring someone who knows how to do the job that will ensure that you get the results you're looking for. Number 6, your navigation doesn't help them find what's most important. This may seem like something, very basic, and, it is. However, we run across this quite frequently with people who haven't had their website updated in a while. Obviously, things have changed. How people go through the buying process has changed. What is important to them has changed. Sometimes, at least, in a lot of ways, you have to really show them where to go, navigate them through your website to make sure they hit the key components to ensure that they're able to, purchase with you. So again, a clear navigation, you'll be able to walk them through that buying cycle because you know what activities people like, you know what restaurants are open in the area, with the good ones, the bad ones, the good customer service, etc. You know what areas to avoid, what areas to go to, and you know what images are going to, sell your property. So make sure that, you're navigating them through, you're taking them to the pages, you have the right calls to actions at the end of pages or above the folds to really get them through that cycle. Here's an example of a navigation. This particular business, the revenue driver here is accommodation, selling rooms like a lot of you all here. And as we went through that process, we said, okay, well, I want you to look at my rooms here. Obviously, you're going to land on my website. I get a chance to really show you about my property, some real quality, heavy images, some bullet points of what we do differently than our competitors, some amenities, and maybe a couple special offers to really get you thinking about seeing yourself at my property. We then want you to look at our rooms. I want you to go envision yourself staying at one of our rooms. Go find one. Go look at the dates. Go check out the availability. Maybe come back and look at the specials and see if any of that meets your eyes, if that can be timely for you. Okay, well maybe you think you're comfortable, but you kind of want to know what you can do in the area. Rather than having them leave, I have an activity section, an event section. I can let them say, hey, here's what we know you can do in the area. We know these places. We trust these places. We know you're going to have a good time. So making sure you have it set up to really funnel them through the process, to ultimately get them to where you want them to go, and contacting you and buying from you is where you want it to be. Make sure that you lead with the money pages. Make sure that your top links are clickable, or maybe include drop downs as well to get those repeat visitors directly back to the pages they want to go to. Don't have too many leads. Don't have a cluttered navigation. So make sure you keep the important top 5 to 8 things in your main navigation that really drive business. Number 5, halfway point. So again, they've made it to your website. They found what you're looking for. That keyword search worked out for them for the most part. But now they got to your website and the content is stale. It's not engaging. It isn't relevant. It's not informative. And God, if they have to read 15 paragraphs just to really kind of get a visual of the property. So content still remains to be king. Having quality content allows you to really be able to engage with people regardless of the device, whether it's a mobile device or a desktop device. It ensures that search engines are driving quality traffic to your website based off of the search results. So again, they're going to mirror up the keywords people are looking for. They're also going to look at your content. Do you have relevance there? Are those two things falling in line? If so, perfect. Let me show this website. It's also going to play a direct factor in delivering the information your visitors are looking for in order for them to determine if they want to spend money with you. So the content is really where you're going to be able to sell the property. Content is more than just text. It's your images, it's your videos, it's your infographics, it's your pictures, it could be testimonials. There's different ways in which you can use content to engage with people. So don't just think of I have to write text, I can't take pictures or do a video. So how do you make content impactful? There's a handful of ways. Number one, make it engaging. When you have engaging content, you help them visualize and experience your property. So you really are trying to allow them to, while looking at your photos, reading through your descriptions, see themselves sitting on your porch or in your garden or walking into their bedroom suite. You really want to sell that and allow them to get that warm, fuzzy feeling before they even touch feet. Keep it relevant. Make sure you're talking about what's going on at your property, maybe what's going on in the area. New content, fresh content is exactly what Google's looking for as well. Be informative. Don't give them a reason to leave your website. If you're going to tell them about an event, don't just say click here to find out more. Tell them about the event. A lot of times those click here links to find out more also show other activities, and then they also say, well, if you're going to be doing activities in this area, here's some places you can stay. So now you're losing them because you didn't want to take the time to be informative and give them the stuff that they need now that they're on your website. Make it snack size. Make it easy for them to skim, because the first thing they're going to do is skim your content to see if those keywords match. They're going to skim the content to see if you have the amenities they're looking for. If you allow kids because they have a large family, do you have a swimming pool for the kids? Do you allow pets? Whatever it may be, they're looking for those things real quick before they take a step back and seat themselves into your website to fully buy in. And then just make sure you proofread it. Always proofread. You can't say enough about that. Just make sure your content makes sense and presents. Number 4, the images on your website are poor in quality. We all know the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, it's also worth $1,000, you know, so making sure you have good images is extremely important to ensuring guests are booking at your property. We have a client here who, for a handful of months, has been thinking about getting a new website, and prior to that, we were saying, hey, you know, if you're not going to, you know, if it's not in the budget right now for a new website, or you're not sure you want to do it, can we at least update the images on your website? And they took a second and they said, you know, no, I don't want to do that. Their reason for not wanting to update the images on their website was they wanted to wow people when they made it to the property. So their whole thought was, is the people who book with us, okay, well, ultimately they booked and those photos were good enough for them. But now when they get to the property, they have so many positive words to share with us, so many great things to say about, oh, wow, you know, I didn't expect the bedroom to be this way, or I didn't expect the lobby to look so elegant. You know, and you know, initially I'm thinking, okay, well, that makes sense. And then I thought about it a little bit longer, and I said, whoa, well, I wonder how many people you're missing out on because your current photos aren't of quality, because they're poor, because they don't think or trust into the value or the elegance of the property, and they don't want to wait to spend money to be wowed. They want to be wowed and then spend money. So make sure you update your images. Make sure you're keeping them, you know, top notch. You're doing that as frequently as you can, or just hire a photographer. Make sure you hire a professional. There's a difference. Don't sell your property short. Hire a pro. Pros are experienced in photography and hopefully in your industry. They tend to have advanced equipment that allows them to serve up higher quality images, making sure that they're able to get a variety of different angles and coloring and shadows and lights and low lights, etc. They're used to working long hours. Any of you guys who've worked with photographers, they're usually there for about a week. They stay the night, and they're constantly staging rooms, staging areas, staging a dining room setting, staging a garden room setting. They're all constantly getting things in place to really set the uniqueness about your property that you can then show on website. You can show it through your marketing collateral, etc. They're experienced in photo editing, and I'll show you guys a couple photos there to where having someone who's a professional really will help them take a simple image that they've taken or someone else has taken and really step it up a notch. And then ultimately with the professional, you're looking for someone who's looking for quality over quantity. When you're looking for a Joe, you know, the average guy, your friend, that's usually who they are. They're a college friend. You know, maybe they're a neighbor who you are constantly seeing taking photography, and they come cost-friendly, they're cost-affordable, so you go with it. Ultimately, they're always available when you need them because it's not their profession. They're not booked up. They just have a camera. It's a hobby for them. You tend to get more photos from them, but they lack in quality, which then ultimately, you know, sets you back a little bit because you did spend some money, but you're not getting ultimately the true value that you should. And then those images may or may not be good for your website, for your brand in the long run. So make sure you have good images so you can provide credibility, so you can paint a clear picture of the experience, and that you make sure you're driving extra revenue. Here's an example of a before and after. The biggest thing I wanted to point out here was just the power lines. You know, normally what you would see here is somebody would walk out and say, here's my bed and breakfast, let me take a picture. The power lines are there. I can't do anything about it. The guest will understand that, you know, they're not looking at the power lines. Well, a professional understands that the power lines make a difference. I don't want people to see the power lines. I don't want them to get the perception that we're right off of the street next to some power lines. I'm going to edit those out, and that's what you see in the after picture on the right. So having a professional that is capable of doing that really will allow them to clean up those little details that could really, you know, allow people to say, okay, I'll stay at that property. And then this one is just a before and after picture that I want to show you guys as it relates to lighting. This is a best shot in the garden of a property in, I believe, San Francisco, if I recall. It's just a matter of a night and day. So this is the before shot. This is a shot with photography done, or excuse me, with photo editing. Again, this is the before, and this is the photo editing. So again, you can just see that the garden gets lightened, they brighten it up. While it's still being a dusk photo, you're able to really see the uniqueness of that garden and see yourself sitting in one of those chairs, sitting at the table with a loved one, enjoying a good time. Number 3, there's a lack of calls to actions. Take the guessing out of it and tell them what you want them to do. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say buy now. Check availability. What to consider when you're creating a call to action is you just want to make sure that you're provoking the audience to do something. In the lodging industry, more than 60% of all reservations are made online. And those reservations are driven through calls to actions. I want you to book now, reserve now, check availability. Make it very clear of the desired action you want them to take. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the colors. Make sure that they, stand out, or that they're contrasting against what your website has, again, so that they do stand out. I have another slide where we'll show you different color breakdowns and what they mean. There is a science behind how to use them and what different feelings they may evoke. And then obviously make sure that the location is where it needs to be, above the fold, in an ideal place on a room page when they might book. At the bottom of the page on a mobile device when they're scrolling. Give them something to do. When I make it to the bottom of a rooms page, what is the next action I should take? Should I go look at other rooms? Should I check availability? Should I view for photos? Whatever it may be, make sure you have calls to actions that are driving them into that booking cycle. The proper use of call to action buttons can make or break your website's conversion rate. Anything less than a 2% website conversion rate is dismal. So I encourage you guys to go look at your analytics, take a peek to see where you guys stand from a conversion rate. If they're not in line with what that 2% is, or fairly close to it, go to your website. Do you have calls to action? Do you have the right calls to actions in the right place? And are they getting people into the process of buying? Here's a nice little color chart again so you guys can see. Red is energy, increases the heart rate, it creates urgency. This is something that you might often see in the clearance sale, so maybe you guys have a book before the end of the month to take advantage of this offer. Whereas you see the green button is associated with wealth, the easiest color for the eyes to process. This used in stores to relax them. So maybe you want to tell them to buy, but you don't want it to be so in your face, buy now. So that's when you would use the green one. The main website's call to action need to be centered around booking now. The call to action is going to be clear and concise to the user, and again, make sure you tell them exactly what you want them to do. Number 2, your website does not offer packages or special offers. This is extremely important, and I'm not saying that I want you guys to devalue your brand or take money out of your pocket, but we know everyone wants the deals. A lot of people are deal shopping. I'm not going to put you on my bucket list of places to go because you don't have a special offer or because your price is just a little bit too high. Ultimately, with the special offer or packages, it's just you finding a way to help them save money while still staying at your property. And then there's a whole bunch of things you can do to get them to come back as a repeat guest, where they don't have to buy in through a special offer because they see the value, they understand the strength of that brand, and now they want to give you the full dollars your property's worth. Do it tastefully and do it timely. You don't always have to have specials on your website or packages. It might be the time of year, it might be the time of season. You should know better than me when it's best for you to promote packages on your website based off of the traffic trends and what people are asking for, or that's a way for you to drive traffic. If you know there's an event in the area, put together a package and say, we're in Cleveland, we have a hotel suite because it just so happens to be the World Series. Get this package, we'll take care of 2 tickets for you to the World Series game, we'll buy you some dinner, and obviously you get to stay at the hotel. So it's a great way to bundle your inventory and ensure it gets off the books. Don't forget to put them into your booking engine as well. The last thing you want to do is show that on the website, force them to call, or don't give them an option to book online. Here's just a good example of a winter escape. They're giving 2 nights away. They have an end date of March 31st, 2017. They're giving wine and cheese, and they also have some disclaimers, as you can see there. Some do's and don'ts of online specials and packages. Make sure you create a landing page. A landing page will do two things for you. It's going to allow you to provide as much detail and information as you want about that package or about that special to eliminate the questions. And then it's also going to give you another opportunity to come up in the search engines for that special, for that package. So do make sure you're optimizing, you're paying attention to the keywords you use there and how people might want to take advantage of it. Make sure it's mobile friendly, so if you have a responsive website, you'll be taking care of that. See if you can turn it into a promo code. It makes it a little bit more exciting when you can say book with promo off 30% or something along those lines there. It's very enticing. And then just make sure you include an end date. The last thing you want to do is set the perception that you always have discounts, that there isn't any urgency for people to want to take advantage of this. Again, they could be comparing you with someone else, and that special and that deadline could be the reason they decide to stay at your property versus someone else's. Don't hide the important details. The last thing you want to do is get them all worked up and excited about your special. They call you or they go online to book, and then they find out that there's 15 rules that don't apply to them, and now they can't take advantage of the property and stay in there in the special, and now they want to just leave just because. Don't spam them. So again, if you do have special offers and you're wanting to promote those, make sure if you are emailing them out, you're emailing it to those people who've actually signed up to receive newsletters and special alerts. Otherwise, you could potentially lose customers in the long run. And then don't force them to call to book. Giving them, again, the option to book online and not too many restrictions to prevent them from moving forward. And the number one reason your website is driving customers away is because you're missing an online booking engine. You did everything else great. Your keywords fell in line, and content looks good, images did enough to sell them. You have activities, navigation laid out perfectly, but they didn't know what to do. Your call to action was call now, call for pricing, and they didn't want to. They found everything, and now they don't want to have to start that process over and speaking with someone. They want to just be able to complete that online. Not having an online booking engine will mean that you're missing out on the $148 million that are brought in online through bookings, through travel bookings each year. So that's a lot of money that you could be overlooking by not allowing people the ease of use to book online. Now I understand that you may have a property and you want to vet out who's staying there and those things. That's great, and I'm not saying you can't do that, but that doesn't mean that you can't collect their credit card information, their revenue first, and then follow up to vet them out to see if there's still availability in place and things like that. And then ultimately, it's going to be good for you. It's good customer service. It allows you to take payments online and eliminate some of that manual work, and then you'll also have the ability to receive bookings online 24/7. So rather than always having to have someone at the front desk that can answer the phones, your online booking engine is your phone for you. And depending on the booking engine you have, you'll allow people to do a variety of things that allows them to ensure that they can get the information they need to where they don't have to wait to call you and they can book today. Ultimately, when you do have a booking engine in place, it is extremely important that you guys have revenue tracking. Not knowing where your revenue is coming from is just like throwing money out there. The better you understand how people are buying from you, the better you can attract more of those similar people so you can increase those conversions, increase the occupancy. So if they're organic visitors, know if they're direct, know who your referrals are, know where your money's coming from. A high converting booking engine includes a variety of things. Here's just a couple of them. Off to the right, I'll start there, is the graphic. It's just a variety of different ways for people to get into your booking engine. So the very calendar at the top, they have the ability to see the individual rooms you have, see what days they're available, and the rates for the individual day. So for those people who know exactly what room they want or rooms they like, they can go to this calendar and see what's available and book accordingly. Others, the calendar, the small one on the bottom left, That's a property-wide calendar, so these people don't really care what room they're looking for. They just know they have some dates. They know that they want to be at your property, and they're open. And then the third calendar on the bottom right-hand corner is an individual unit calendar. This allows people to book an individual unit directly from your website on the individual detail page. So again, they made it to your website, they navigated around, they found a room they liked. Rather than them hitting book now and getting thrown into the booking engine with all of your rooms, they can hit this individual calendar and only book that individual room, and it keeps things very consistent to that room and that booking process for that unit, and doesn't cluster them and inundate them with other units. Make sure you have a themed booking engine so you have a seamless transition. You want it to match your website so people don't think they're losing, getting lost, or going somewhere else. It's also a great way for you to offer packages and point of sales, another way to increase revenue, again, by enticing people to add to their reservation. You'll also have the ability to display multiple rates and discounts, provide promos, gift certificates, integrate with third parties. So those are things that make up for good booking engine that you should be looking for. So now we went over 10 reasons why why your website is driving customers away. What I want to go over right now here is exit intent technology. The purpose of this exit intent technology is to give you a chance to say goodbye before they go. 70% of people who leave your website will never return. Not everyone is ready to book now. So with exit intent technology, and in this case we'll talk about Opt-in Monster, what you're able to do is present timely pop-ups that engage with the user right before they exit your website. So regardless of if they found you on purpose or found you on accident, you can say, hey, before you go, do you want to enter a contest for a free getaway? Would you be interested in downloading an itinerary guide? What about signing up for a newsletter? Or here's a discount or promo before you go. With the Opt-in Monster, again, there are pop-ups that you can actually target on your entire site, website-wide, or you can put these on individual pages if you have a particular special or a promotion that you're running. A good one would be, if you're doing a Halloween type craze, you can do an Opt-in Monster on the landing page for your Halloween and say, hey, right before they close this page, you can say, did you find what you're looking for? Tell us about this page. How did it work for you? Will you be attending our Halloween event? If not, would you like to get information about future events that are going to be going on in our property? So it's a way to engage right before they go. Another exit intent technology is called Booking Engine Abandonment, or Cart Abandonment. CartStack is the vendor that we work with today, and they do a very good job of engaging with those people who actually made it to your booking engine, were on the cusp of completing that booking process, and for whatever reason they started over, they stopped, they exited. They could have been at work and their boss showed up, so they have to close all screens, or they could have been doing this for their wife for an anniversary, wife walks in the room. Or the kids could have started to run a ruckus and they had to put some focus there, so they had to jump out of the booking engine and they were going to come to it later. Well, with CartStack, you're able to send emails by capturing their email address when they're on that in their booking engine, and then you can send them an email and say, hey, I noticed you were in my booking engine but you didn't complete what happened, or hey, I saw you were in my booking engine but you didn't complete. I'll give you 10% if you complete your booking today. So you have a way to engage with them after they leave, and that's a very exciting thing because, again, ultimately, they're not going to stay forever. Not everyone's going to book right away. So you giving them, you having the opportunity to say bye before they go is extremely important. So that is the end of the webinar today. I appreciate everyone's time. I really hope that you guys found some value in this webinar. We will get this posted on our website. You guys will receive a follow-up email with the link to the presentation, as well as an option to download the definitive guide for a high converting website. As always, we appreciate you guys. If you need anything, do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you again. You guys have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.